Hey guys, welcome to Hound Hogs Barbecue. Hopefully you've already watched part one of this series where we unboxed and assembled the HB250 from Hasty Bake. Today we're going to season it, we're going to start a load of charcoal in it, and we're going to see how it controls temperature and see how well it does. And so let's dive in. Guys, so here is the HB250. I built a table that I'll show you a little bit about later to keep it on out here on the porch, and I've got a grill mat here. So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is start a load of charcoal. And I'm actually just going to start it off over here to the side. And I talked to the man himself, John Lindsay, earlier, and I was just asking for some tips on some things, and one of the things he said, contrary to what I've heard a lot of other people say, is that this thing really only needs about a half a chimney of charcoal. And so we're just going to see how it works with his suggestions. And so we're going to do a half a load of charcoal over here on the left side, and we're going to work with the vents, and I'm going to see how long it burns, how well it burns, how hot it gets, and we'll just kind of go from there. But let's get this charcoal started. While my charcoal is finishing up, I want to go over a couple things to start with. My charcoal's got about a minute or two left. When you're heating this thing up, take this out. You don't want this to be hot, because if this is hot, when you put your steak on it, it's going to sear the bottom of it, and it might affect your doneness scores. So go ahead and take that out. I'm just going to set that off to the side, and then we're going to pop the door open. Now, people do this different ways. They tell you to dump it in from the top. I don't really want to have to fool with the grill grates. If I'm at a competition, I would probably just put this on the ground somewhere and dump my charcoal in. Go ahead and take this basket out. I'm going to set it inside my kettle when I pour it in to protect my porch, but I'm actually going to bank all my charcoal on one side. I want all of that heat, as much as I can, to go up under the side where that heat diverter is open that we showed you in the last video. So we're going to go ahead and take this out. I've got my back vents halfway open. Okay, my back vents are halfway, and I'm going to start with my front vents halfway open, and we'll just kind of see how it goes from there. But we'll go ahead. This charcoal's looking good, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing lit up. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes. Let's see how this thing's doing. About 440, 450. Alright, it's been about 10 to 12 minutes. I went ahead and opened the vents up pretty much all the way open, just to let it get on up here. 565, 570, running pretty good 570 right now. Let's check this side over here, see what it's doing with that heat diverter in place. Wow, 100 and almost 200 degree difference from left to right. All right, so I just temped it. Grates are running about 650, a little hot, but I think it's because I opened the vents prematurely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shut these down a little bit, about like that. At the competition, I'd probably spray my grates a little bit, little John Lindsay trick, and we'll just let it keep going. I want to just see how long the charcoal lasts. Yeah, it's reading right at 650. Now this side over here is still about 530, so still quite a bit of difference in the size, which is good. So I'll choke it down a little bit. We'll give it another 10 minutes. I'll probably just kind of keep track of some numbers and not have you watch the same thing 5 times. So, all right, so these coals have been going for right at an hour. Now, granted, I made a mistake by opening the vents up too early. Give it a little more time to come up to temp. You can see how closed down they are right here now. This one's just kind of about a quarter of the way open. Thing got up to 680 degrees. Got a little hot, and it didn't want to come back down just by closing the vents. I didn't want to close them, because I would never do that at a competition because it'll make it taste bad. But what I did was I got a water bottle and I just squirted down on the grill grates for like 10 seconds, just squirting it real good. It was hitting the coals beneath it, and when I temped it, it was back at 530. And now it got back up once I closed it and left these vents. The back vent is about a quarter of the way open as well. Once I got it down, it came back up, and it's been holding at like 570 to 580 for the past 20 minutes. And this is a half a chimney of charcoal. Don't let anybody tell you that you need a whole chimney of charcoal in this thing, because if I had a whole chimney and it had gotten out of hand, it'd have probably been running 800-900 degrees, which would not even be good for the grill. So let's see what it's at right now. I'm temping in the valleys. We're at 560, 530 once you get over the heat diverter, and 475. So these coals are probably starting to die down. It's 545, and that's after it's been open for a second. So these coals are probably starting to die down a little bit, but an hour of cook time on these things is way more than I need for a SCA competition. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and just let it keep cooking, but that's pretty much it. As far as things you might need to know for this grill, for burning it in, I didn't want to spray it with oil. It was pretty clean. I just wanted to kind of burn off any factory dust or anything that's on the inside. You could spray it with oil on the inside if you wanted to. So it's seasoned, it's cooked, it's going to cool down now. And then if you'll notice right here, see how the door's wiggling? I told you guys that from what I've heard, that little clasp in there will kind of bend a little bit because it's got to be tempered. And so here in just a second, I'm just going to take those hot gloves I got and just squeeze it a little bit, and it'll be right back to it. But honestly, this is not a bad stiffness. I kind of like it better than when it was really hard. So I might leave it. But one thing that you will notice that might freak you out, and of course I had some people to talk to that warned me about this beforehand, is this thing is not going to close when it's hot like this, because this is real stainless steel. This is not aluminum or anything like that. That was hot. It's going to swell a little bit. There's really no need for you to clasp that while you're cooking. Okay, if I take this out, which actually, let's do that. I want to take this out and I want to see how long it takes to cool off. I'm just going to set my charcoal over there in my Weber kettle, and we'll see how long it's going to take. But those are really the only things you need to know. It's doing really well. I'm really happy with it so far. And I actually get to cook in the Alabama State Championship steak cook-off this weekend. So it's probably a really good idea to take a grill the first time I cook on it out there. So we're going to do it anyways. But let's take this basket out, and let's see how long it takes for it to kind of cool down and get back to where it's able to be put in the bed of a truck. This is how much is left after a half a chimney of charcoal and 1 full hour of cook time. So half a chimney is definitely the way to go. All right, so it's been about 30 seconds since I closed that. Still running in the 400s. And you can see everything cleaned out really well. Just a little bit of dust, that's it. I'm gonna check back every minute or so and see how long it takes to cool off. So it's been about a minute since I took the charcoal out, maybe a minute and a half, somewhere in that area, and my door fell open. All you gotta do, this clip right here, is take your hand, bend it back a little bit. There we go. All right, let's see, it's been about 10 minutes now. 158 degrees, so we're getting there. Let's see if the lid will close now. Ta-da! All ready to go back in the truck. All right, guys, so as you can see, this grill did a pretty good job today. It didn't cook anything. I wanted to burn it in, and I wanted to see how the temperature control was before I threw, you know, a couple nice steaks on there. I'm actually pretty happy with it. You can tell that it's real metal, like the warpage and stuff, or not the warpage, but the swelling and the door. Like, that's just part of being real metal. My other option was a Weber kettle, and the worst thing that could happen is the lid wouldn't sit down straight. But it also didn't hold heat for anything. So I really like the control on this thing. I'm pretty interested to see how it does this weekend. You know, one thing that I have heard and that I can vouch for is I stuck my hand under here earlier and didn't really feel anything. And so it should be good to go on a regular table. This is my setup on my porch. I just took some 2x4s and built a platform just slightly larger than it, and I had an extra little grill mat sitting around. And that's what I've got it on now. You got to think this thing is about 12 inches tall to the grate. So wherever you want your platform, you want it to be about 12 inches below where you're going to want to be lifting your steak up and things like that. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it today. Thursday, today's a Tuesday, so Thursday I'll be cooking my first steaks on it in preparation for this weekend, and we will see how it does. But other than that, guys, continue to check out this video. If you haven't watched the first one, go ahead and check it out, and stay tuned for the one coming later.